Okay, in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. This week on Simulcast 246, we're talking about Nexus, RE, Hairgate, and double your data. We'll talk about it all right here on the Simulcast. It is Wednesday, October 8th. I'm Bill Stebbins, and you are listening to Simulcast 246. We missed last week. We had plenty going on, but there wasn't much tech news. But we have lots this week. Lots.
Lots.
It's all goodness, mostly.
Googly goodness.
Yes. So how was your past 2 weeks? I haven't talked to you much.
Lots of TV watching.
Oh, I hate you.
I've had lots of time to watch TV because my college football team sucks right now.
Yeah, mine too.
You mean the one you don't have?
Right. So, I got to watch lots of TV, actually. I got to watch Survivor and Sons of Anarchy. That's about as much as I got to watch. But hey, it's better than nothing. Uh-oh. My dog's coming to attack me. I was doing a little experiment here. My wife and kids are gone. They're shopping right now. And I thought, well, I'll let both dogs down here to hang out with me. And a little brown dog was sitting up there chewing on a bone. And now she's running around. She's been sitting there eating a bone for how long? 20 minutes? 15 minutes?
Well, I guess that answers the question of who let the dogs out.
Yeah. Who? Okay, there she goes again. My Doberman is sitting right at my feet, so if you hear barking, I'm not in any danger, but somebody probably is.
And it might be you.
Yeah. Somebody else, but definitely not me. I don't know what I hope she's not eating the carpet. Are you eating the carpet? No, don't eat the carpet. Good grief. It's like Miranda all over again.
Where do you think they learned it?
All right, so in Apple news, I played with the iPhone 6 last night. Very nice, slippery phone. I don't see how you would own one without a case.
And I actually played around with the 6 Plus the last couple of days. My dad finally got his in. Apparently 4 to 6 weeks means a little over 3 weeks.
Well, under promise, over deliver.
Yeah. Well, I mean, he really likes it, but yeah, definitely have to have a case for that thing. It really does feel about the same as my Note 3 in the hand. So, but we're gonna have to find him a case, mostly because of slipperiness, but also because the camera.
Hang on, she's chewing on something. Talk amongst yourselves. That's okay. It was just a piece off my desk.
Didn't know you were missing it, did you?
I was like, wait, it's a little keyboard tray guard thing. Gotta love them. Dogs are awesome.
Just testing it out for you.
Yeah. Hey, I was keeping that. I was, uh-oh. They're home now. See, would-be robbers, that's what you'll get if you come into my house. If you're not watching, if you're listening, that was my 110-pound Doberman bounding up the stairs. Well, I say bounding. That's about as fast as she moves nowadays.
You don't need to go fast if you can take them out.
Yeah. So Hairgate is now a thing. I don't know why it's a thing. But it was Bendgate last podcast. Hairgate. Apparently the seams in the screen between the iPhone, I don't know if it's the 6 or Plus, but it's pulling people's hair out when they talk on the phone.
It's a feature.
Is that really a thing?
My guess is somebody needs to maybe trim their hair.
I mean, if you're a real hipster and you've got hair like that, then I guess... is it just me, or do people just always come up with something stupid to be mad about?
Pretty much. Not to mention the fact that you need to have that thing in a case. That fixes your problem right there.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, the camera with the protrusion in the outside, you really don't want to scratch that thing up.
Right.
So put a case on it. Hairgate, overblown.
Yeah, so I don't even really. I mean, we have that in the show notes just because that's a thing, but it's not really a thing for us. I don't think. Not for me anyway. Patrick seems to kind of worry about it. What we've been talking about. There's an Apple event next week. What is today? That's weird. It's next Thursday. Yeah.
Yes.
Don't they usually do
Wednesday? It would be a Wednesday, wouldn't it?
Well, today's the 8th. It's a Wednesday.
No, it is a Thursday.
Yeah, so it's on a Thursday. The title of that invitation was "It's Been Too Long." So I don't know, but I guess it's going to focus on Macs and maybe a new iPad.
I would say there's a 99.9% chance there's a new iPad because I have to have something new to sell over Christmas.
So iPad Air 2, I saw, I don't know if it was a leak of it or render, like a skinnier, narrower one.
My question is, do they call it the Air 2 or do they call it the new Air? The new iPad Air.
I don't know.
Of course, I guess if they come out with some new MacBook Airs, it could be all about the Airs.
Yeah. So, I mean, I'm mildly excited for that. I have several Macintosh computers in the house.
The thing I'm excited about it is that we're probably going to hear some more about Yosemite.
You know, I'm in the beta program and I didn't bother to install it because I guess I'm getting to the point where I don't want to deal with bugs.
Yeah, I've gotten now. I'm going to wait until they fix it, then I'll update. Because, I mean, right now I'm down to one computer, so I really don't want to have to deal with bugs.
For all intents and purposes, so am I. I mean, I have multiple computers, but as far as my own stuff, my Mac Mini is unplugged and not even being used. And so I'm just using my Air for most things. And I'm not at the point where I can use a Chromebook yet for everything. I thought about getting one, but then I'm just getting one for the sake of having it, not actually to use it all the time.
I think the only way I could see one is if I went back to having like a Mac Mini or an iMac as my home computer, and then that was just what I used to access the internet when I was out and about. But I couldn't use it as my main computer for sure.
Yeah, I couldn't either. So I guess we'll see. It'll be interesting, but I don't really need a new MacBook, especially for $1,200, $1,300, $1,500. I think I'll just hold on to mine. It still runs fine and still does what I needed it to do, and it's going to get Yosemite. So,
yeah, I mean, I've got the second iteration of the 13-inch MacBook Pro Retina. So, I mean, this thing screams. It was in the guy I bought it from. When he ordered it, it was already boosted up. It's got the 500 gig SSD, the top whatever I forgot how many gigahertz the dual core. It's the i7. So I mean, and it had 8 gigs of RAM. So this thing will last pretty much as long as I want to.
Yep. Till Apple tells you need to switch.
My thing is I wouldn't mind an Air if they would eventually, as the progression goes, make a quad core for it. I have to figure at some point as they get better efficiencies, eventually they'll move to nothing but quads.
Yeah, and for me, as nice as a higher resolution screen would be, I don't use my laptop as a laptop except for once a week. Mm-hmm. Otherwise, it's closed and hooked up to an external monitor, so it doesn't really benefit me a whole lot to have the high-res screen, even though it sounds really cool.
Yeah. I mean, in my case, I may eventually get an iMac because that's the one I wanted at some point. It's like my main computer I get home, so it's always on. I just click. I don't have to hook up wires or anything else and dock it, and just kind of use the laptop as kind of if I'm out and about or work and things of that sort.
Yep. So we'll see. So tune in. Well, you won't even be able to tune in next week and hear what we think because it's on Thursday. Follow us on Twitter and you can hear what we'll think. I'm not as snarky about Apple stuff when they're talking about the Macs.
Yeah, that and iPads. I think they've got their stuff together. And even the iPhone. It's not so much that it's the iPhone. It's the the snooty people that sit there and that are iPhone users that belittle other people. I think that's why it's fun to make fun of it.
Yeah, like, oh my gosh, you got something that I've had for 3 years. That's awesome. Now big phones are cool. Yeah. That's the part that I found annoying, but I've talked about that before.
My biggest thing was the size, where they're like, man, that thing's huge. Nobody needs a phone that big. And they're already talking about they need more 6 pluses because it's outselling the other one.
Imagine that. All right, so in some Google news, Google Voice finally gets MMS support.
Unless you're on Verizon.
If you're on Verizon, you cannot send me MMS. Sorry, but I can send it out from my phone because it uses Google Voice. I've been using the heck out of it. My mom and my sister are both on AT&T, and got several friends that are on AT&T, and it works just fine back and forth. And it's very seamless. It's just like sending a picture in Hangouts for me. It just happens to go through MMS.
Yep, which for me, most of the people I talk with, except for a very few like from work, almost most of them have Hangouts. So it's kind of already had animated GIFs and everything already.
Yeah. That's always funny to drop one in a Hangout, and people are like, what? Where did that come from?
My sister's like, why can't I send one like that? Because you're using iMessage?
Yep. So, I mean, this has been kind of a long pipe dream for most Google Voice users because MMS is really just, I mean, it's a simple thing, but the fact that we couldn't do it, and it really boiled down to Google had to work with carriers to get the support, and for whatever reason, Verizon doesn't offer it.
And I love that they threw some jabs and if you're a carrier who would like to maybe have your customers included, we're willing to work with you.
Yeah. Yeah, Verizon's just their own beast. And you remember, and I don't remember which device it was. I think it may have been the Nexus 5, but they were going to work on something with Verizon.
Oh, it was when the 5 came out, they said, even though there's not this, stay tuned, we're in the works with them for something the next year. So maybe it's the 6. Maybe they're going to just support it through it initially. I don't know.
It will be interesting. I mean, and I guess I'm in a conundrum I've been talking about this week, switching to AT&T and leaving Verizon because T-Mobile's fine if I'm in the city, but when I get outside of the city, it's just awful. I was at a car show on Saturday, and the only reason that I didn't go insane was because I had my Verizon tablet with me, which I could tether off of, and I thought, well, that's kind of stupid. So, I don't know. Why am I doing that? Why am I paying for a couple of lines when I could switch?
Well, my thing is, if they ever finally get rid of unlimited, I'll think about moving. But as long as I have unlimited that's decent, unlike Sprint, I'll stay.
Well, and that's the thing. I hate to give it up. I really do. But I'm not even using it for my phone because I've used a Nexus device since the first one, and at the time I was on AT&T, and it's just gotten to the point where I need my phone to work all the time. If it was on Verizon, it would. Unfortunately, they don't offer a Nexus phone. They only offer the tablet, and begrudgingly, I'm sure. So with AT&T's double data promotion, I can get 40 gigabytes for the same price as 20 and share that across my family. And my daughter only gets 2 on Verizon right now. So for less money than I'm spending on my Verizon and my T-Mobile bill, we can all share the data, and I can have my tablet on there too.
And basically get any Nexus you want because they're always supported.
Right, the Nexus or the OnePlus. I could switch right now and still use the One Plus with no problem till the Nexus 6 comes out.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I hated AT&T because they had so many 3G issues, and I guess
Now that I guess you're falling back to HSP Plus, and then with LTE, that makes it better. But
yes, yeah, because when I fall back on T-Mobile, I get 3G, but most of the time when I'm outside the city, I get Edge, which doesn't work at all, or I get GPRS.
Wow.
Yeah. And I mean, I'm not talking like I'm out in the boonies. I was 35 miles from Louisville.
Yeah, that's still pretty much suburbia.
Yeah. So, yeah, I was very frustrated. And a friend of mine who had asked me about switching and ended up switching to T-Mobile, he's having problems. He's up in a little town called Corydon, and he gets G where he works. He just switched jobs, and so he's fed up with it too. And I hate that because I really love T-Mobile, but they're not moving fast enough and getting all their stuff together.
Yeah. I will say this, though. If you do end up making the switch, one thing you may want to look at, because there's still ways for them to do it, people are basically, because especially in your case, since you do never really give out your Verizon number, it's because you use your Google Voice number, people are actually selling their unlimited lines through assumption of liability switches.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, these things are selling for $200 to $500, and they actually went back up in price because they withdrew their thing about about basically throttling people.
Well, and I looked at some of the stuff to see how to do it, and there's a way to do it where you can still transfer your number and still keep your line. I'm not sure where I can sell it, but that would help me. So, because mine is not under contract, my wife's is, and if I could help, by not having an ETF, because my wife's got her eye on the Note 4, and the off-contract price of that's $800 and something.
Still cheaper than the iPhone.
Yeah, I know. So I don't know. I've got kind of a. I mean, she's not having
now.
Do what?
What is she using now?
Note 2.
When's she looking to upgrade?
I don't know. Soon.
Well, I guess it really depends if you decide to pull the trigger, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, she's on board. I've just got to decide if I'm ready to give up my unlimited data on Verizon, which is kind of the holy grail.
Pretty much. That's why we put up with their bullshit.
Right, and I don't know. I want to be able to use a Nexus phone.
Which is one of the reasons why I think they're going to try to really sabotage, even if they have the Nexus, because that just feeds the people who have unlimited that they've been trying to screw over. Because, okay, you have to buy your phone off contract. Okay, I'll buy a Nexus.
Yeah.
Sure, I'll get a new phone every year, and it'll still be cheaper, and I'll keep my unlimited data.
Yep. So, I mean, and I don't know when the Nexus 6 is going to come out. I mean, the rumors are the Nexus 9 is going to be announced on the 15th, which is a week from today. We don't know about the 6. We've seen it. It says Nexus on it. I'm going to buy it.
I figure my thing is, like, with the Nexus 9, I've learned, like, even with the Nexus 7, the 2013 edition, I'm going to wait to the second batch just to make sure.
Yeah.
Because I had to return, like, the first one I had because the Qi receiver wasn't working in it. So
I remember that.
Just wait, let the initial die down, and then go buy it. Because I figure it'll be okay, because with the new iPads being announced, it won't be a problem.
It's true. So I don't know. I'm curious to see what our listeners think, if I should give up my unlimited data or, I don't know, suspend my service for a little while on Verizon. Just so I don't know.
What's the difference between your Verizon monthly and your T-Mobile?
I pay $188 for 3 lines on Verizon, with 2 of them being unlimited. Then my daughter's only got 2 gigabytes. And I pay close to $80 a month for unlimited on T-Mobile. So I'm spending about $260 every month on cell phone service.
Well, what I was going to say is, if you're leaning that way, you may want to look at how much it would cost you to switch to keep one line on Verizon, get rid of your T-Mobile, and switch to your daily driver being AT&T. And so your Verizon one, you'd still have one, so you keep at least one line of unlimited data. Because if you're switching to AT&T, you wouldn't need your T-Mobile anymore, because you'd have a line that could use unlocked phones and the Nexus phones, and you'd have better. So you'd still have one phone with at least one with unlimited, but you would have a GSM phone that has better coverage than T-Mobile. You might want to look and see how that math works.
Yeah, you're probably right. And the other thing I'm trying to keep in mind is my other daughter will be getting a phone at some point soon, and it's basically $45 or $50 to add to T-Mobile or to Verizon another line.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas on AT&T it's $15, and just share the data.
That may be the thing. Switch over that with the pool. You can still use your Verizon one for when you really need to like tether and stuff like that, and then just keep. You wouldn't even need to have as big a pool, but of course right now they have the thing where if you get the 15 gigs, you get 30 gigs.
Yeah, and so I was looking at the 40 gig because the most we've ever used is 33 or something, but I want that flexibility at least.
Yeah.
So that's a good point. Maybe I'll look at keeping a line on Verizon and switching some stuff over. I don't know.
Well, because I'm going to say, if nothing else, you have at least the current Nexus tablet works on Verizon for LTE. You'd be able to have a tablet with unlimited that actually works decent, but you could switch it over to your AT&T SIM when you needed to as well. And if you're really having coverage issues with T-Mobile, it makes more sense if you're going to keep two lines, keep one Verizon, and then switch everything to AT&T.
Yeah, so keep my two unlimited lines and then switch over my daughter and I. That makes sense.
I mean, it's figuring out what math works best for you.
Yeah. Yeah, I need to do. I've got a whole spreadsheet.
Well, I'd say the big thing is if you do pull the trigger on AT&T, T-Mobile really becomes superfluous for the most part, because you can't count on it to be your unlimited because you don't have a decent enough coverage.
Yeah, and that's very true. And I don't use that much on T-Mobile.
Yeah. Well, that's because you have your tethering data on your tablet on Verizon.
Yeah, that's true. So
and
that's
the
good.
Thing is, if they add the Nexus, if they do get the Nexus 6 on Verizon, you also have the benefit of getting off contract to keep that unlimited and have something that works on unlimited. Even if they don't get updates all the time, that's when you just flash it and put it on. It should also work. Since it's a Nexus, it should work on AT&T, so you don't have to really worry about it.
Good point. You have good points there. All right, cool. That's more to think about. I'll have to look at another tab on my spreadsheet. How's 360 working out for you?
I love it. The only thing I noticed today, I was having some issues where, like, if I was raising the arm up, it wasn't always activating for the time. Sometimes I had to tap the screen to get it to kind of wake up. But I rebooted it, and it seems like it's working better now. So I don't know if it was just it needed a refresh. But I mean, I love it. I've been playing around with some of the different faces, and I'm obviously it's still early in the game for some of the apps. I think we're slowly going to get more support for apps. But I mean, I like some of the stuff they already have now, like where you can use the viewfinder apps. You can kind of surreptitiously take pictures or record audio using your watch or your phone. Pretty nice. And I mean, I switched over to the Pebble Band on it as well. And
oh yeah, do you like it?
I love the band. The first pin was easy. The second one, it took me I think 20 minutes to finally get it to go in. It just did not want to cooperate.
Yep.
Every once in a while, you'd see it. You'd have it partially, and all of a sudden, you'd see the little pin fly across the room. Boom.
Wow. Well, there was an update, and I think it was like a little over a week ago. My battery life has skyrocketed.
Yes.
I mean, it's been off the charger for 14 hours, and I'm at 64%.
I've been off for about 13 hours, and mine is at 63%, but I was using it pretty heavily earlier.
Yeah. So, and I tell you, I hope at some point they give us the option to turn off the heart rate sensor thing. Like
Yeah,
every 5 minutes of checking. Turn that shit off. I don't need it. I don't want you to tell me I've reached my heart rate goal for the day. I have a Fitbit to do that.
Or if you want to use it, you can use it, but you shouldn't be forced to use it.
Yeah, I mean every 5 minutes that green light's on the back of it, trying to take my pulse or whatever. I don't need it. That would save me probably another 20% by the end of the day.
I will say I tried switching over to the ambient, and even with ambient, I still got better battery life, but it's nowhere near as great as with it off. Because I mean, with ambient off, and I mean to me, the lowest brightness is perfectly fine for me. I really don't notice a major difference between the highest and the lowest. And I mean, I've been averaging. Sometimes I've come home after a full day of work with notifications and everything. Put it on the charger, and I almost feel bad putting it on the charger because it's got over 60%.
I know. It's like, well, that doesn't seem to make sense. But if they could just get me a little more, it'll go 2 days.
Yeah.
So I'm loving mine. It's it looks good when I'm wearing it in a dress shirt and tie and all that, or I can just wear it while I'm going for a walk with my sweatsuit on, or it doesn't really matter. And it's inexpensive enough that I'm not too worried about stuff happening to it.
Yeah. I mean, it's not one where it would be like the end of the world type thing. Like,
yeah,
you might be upset at first, but then you'll get over it.
Yeah, I'll throw it in the gutter and go buy another.
Especially now that they're becoming more and more available, because I'm seeing more and more things. Best Buy, we now have this.
Yeah. So we were talking a little bit earlier about the Chromebooks. Chrome OS is getting basically a streaming version of Photoshop that works in the cloud, and
Is that what most of Photoshop is now, where they want you to have the online subscription?
Yeah. I pay for Photoshop Creative Cloud subscription because for $10 a month, I don't have to worry about trying to hack it to make it work. It just works. And it's worth it to me because I get all the updates for Lightroom and for Photoshop. Even if I just use it a few times a month, which is generally the case, it works, and I don't have to worry about it. But the fact that a Chromebook can now do it is one of the reasons that a lot of people were not using a Chromebook. That's kind of an important piece. Of course, you still need a good internet connection, but nowadays that's a lot more ubiquitous anyway.
Yeah. I mean, I guess in my case, I may actually look at the subscription thing. If I've been trying to play around a little bit with the an older copy I've got, and I guess once I feel more comfortable where that I actually use it enough, I may actually look at upgrading to the newest one with that.
Yeah, and it's a really all the updates. There's always something that I really enjoy being able to do. A lot of the fill stuff and content aware stuff. That's really handy and saves me a bunch of time. And I'm not a huge Photoshop guy as far as my knowledge. I'm just a little dangerous with it. But what I need, I do stuff for work on the website, the SharePoint site that I maintain at work, and things like that. So that's plenty fine for what I need.
I was about to say the extent of my skills is that I can sit there and use it to make transparent backgrounds for pictures.
There's something to that too. There was a Dropbox update, so you can now export from the cloud to your SD card.
Which is good for us people who have SD cards, because I mean before you had to use internal storage.
Yeah, that is nice.
Now obviously this is for Android people because there is no external storage for iPhone.
Right, and for us OnePlus users that don't have an SD card, but I have 64 gigs, so I really don't care.
Sure.
There was an update for Chromecast today, bringing the backdrop support.
Which is essentially the thing they had promised us back when they first made all the announcements about having the ability to cast your screen and everything. They talked about that you'd be able to basically customize what shows when you're not actually streaming anything on your Chromecast. Like you could access your Google plus photos and things of that sort, and basically have custom screensavers and things of that sort, so that if you had it on a monitor or a TV somewhere where you're using it, it would still look nice even when you're not casting something.
Yeah, so there's that's one of my Chromecasts, and then living room, garage. So I could actually put a picture of my car for the garage if I wanted.
Go off theme.
That is interesting.
See, I think you need a Jarvis one, so that way you can have your Tony Stark theme going in your garage.
Yeah, that would be cool. Hangouts for web. This is for you, Victor Webb. Filters out your typing sounds instead of muting you. If you've ever watched the Gadget Gurus podcast, Vic is always banging on his keyboard, and so he cuts in and out. Yep. So there you go. That's a pretty genius way to do it. They just filter out that specific sound instead of muting us, because that was annoying for me too. It would do that to me.
Yeah, because I remember when we first started using it, you'd have people cutting out. It's like, oh, sorry, typing something.
Yeah. Like, really? So that's a genius way to do it. And then finally, in gaming news, there's some upcoming games that are going to net you a next-gen copy. Call of Duty's one of them. If you buy the 360 or PS3 version, you get a digital copy of the Xbox One or PS4 equivalent.
So essentially, if you have two different places you use at your house, you can essentially now have two copies for the price of one.
Basically, you just want to buy the older console version. That way you have both. I mean,
Yeah.
That's a good thing.
And especially since most of the places, if you go visit people or something, they're probably going to have a 360. You have your travel copy.
That's right. And I now have Destiny, and I have Forza Horizon 2, both still in the wrapper, sitting on my console.
I was going to ask you how Destiny was. I almost pulled the trigger on it the other day. I was like, Actually, when I went to pick up my Moto 360, the guy in front of me was trading in his Xbox One and getting a PS4.
I basically bought them because my credit on Dell was gonna expire, and I thought, well, I'll go ahead and get them. That way, I have them to play when I have time. And
Come February 30th.
Yeah, my mom's house is almost done, and so I've been over there putting the kitchen in and a bunch of other stuff. So I haven't really had time, but soon. There's a holiday coming up soon. Veterans Day, and I get that day off, and that just so happens to be the day the Master Chief Collection comes out.
Ooh.
So I'll be standing in line to get the Master Chief Collection.
Bill's going to be investing in lots of caffeine and 5-hour energy.
Yes. So there's that.
Question: what's the deal with this HTC RE camera?
I've kind of listened to the live stream on the way home. It kind of sounds like it's a GoPro that's not really designed for high-intensity sports kind of stuff, but more like events, like family events, stuff like that. And I don't know, it was not getting a lot of support on Twitter that I could see. So it did look kind of cool though. You could control it with your phone remotely. So like one of the examples, the guy said, well, I can go and set up my camera in the front of the auditorium for my daughter's dance performance, and then go back to my seat, and when it's her dance performance, I can start it and see it from my phone, which is cool. But it's $200. It looks kind of like this old flashlight I used to have, like a periscope style flashlight. So I don't know, Patrick.
Of course, you and I could also just sit there and put our phone on a tripod and activate the recording with our Moto 360.
Yes, definitely. So I don't know. I mean, the people that were complaining about it were really negative, and whatever. I mean, somebody comes up with something, they can't win.
I mean, my thing is, I'm willing to wait till it comes out and see how it goes before I'm gonna just completely bash it.
Yeah, I mean, I used to think the GoPro was pretty dumb. Now I really want 2 or 3 to stick on my car when I go out to play. We already talked about this, but I'll touch base on it again. AT&T is doing a double data promotion, and then Verizon and Sprint have gotten in that game too. So if you're on any of those carriers and you want more data, I think our AT&T starts at 10 or 15.
15. It's the 15.
So you get 30 or and double from there. So I was looking at the 30 or the 40. It's a pretty good promotion if you're stuck without unlimited.
Yeah.
And then
you're getting twice as much for the same price.
Yep. And Verizon has something similar too, and that doesn't help me because I'm already on Verizon with 2 unlimited lines.
It's like, how do you double infinity?
Yeah.
Of course, that's when you start thinking Toy Story to infinity and beyond.
Yeah, no kidding. All right. We are on Google+. We are google.com/plus the Simulcast. We are at the Simulcast on Twitter. You can also email us your questions, podcast@thesimulcast.com. And new, as of today, you can subscribe to our Push Bullet channel. You know how I love Push Bullet, Patrick.
What?
We are tag equals the Simulcast. So just on channels for Push Bullet, just key in the Simulcast, all one word, and you'll get our tag, and that will alert you on your mobile device when any of our podcasts post to the website.
You know what, Bill? We ought to just create a QR code for that, and they just go blink.
That's right, definitely. For all my friends that listen, and I know there are at least 2 of you. You can also leave us a voicemail, 203-903-CAST, and we'll play your voicemail on the air. I don't even know if our voicemail... Does our voicemail still work?
I don't know. I haven't tried it.
I haven't either. Let's do a live experiment.
Agent Clay Russell.
Let's do this. Hold on. Let me dial 203-903-CAST. Call.
Hello. Please state your name after the tone, and Google Voice will try to reach
the Simulcast crew.
Bill.
Hey, thanks for calling the Simulcast. Please leave us a message, and we'll be sure to try and play it on the show. Thanks.
All right, so it does work. 45 seconds it took to get to the voice message. We'll have to work on that, Patrick.
Hey, we can get Clay to help us. He can make anything. We'll even throw in a 6-pack.
Oh, I have a new voicemail from the Simulcast. All right. So I guess we'll move on to Casting Couch. And I am happy to report that after, when's the last time I went to the movies? It's been like 8 months.
Seems like ages.
I went and saw Gone Girl on Sunday evening with my wife because we had 2 date nights in a row.
What?
And yes, I know. Bomb chicka wah wah.
Look at you acting like you don't have kids.
Yeah, I know. Gone Girl was a great movie. It started out a little confusing, and it's a long movie. It's like 2.5 hours long, but I really enjoyed it. Like, it was a very compelling story, and the way that they do the storytelling kind of back and forth between the 2 main characters, really well done. So I think it's on Rotten Tomatoes. It's in the low to mid 90s, and I will put my stamp of approval on that movie.
So my question is, at 2.5 hours, was Peter Jackson directing it?
No, but there is a lot. It's definitely not a family movie.
I hear good things, though. I mean,
Yeah, I mean it's. You just have to watch the movie to really appreciate the level of craziness in it. I don't want to ruin it for anything, but from what I understand, it follows very closely with the book. So if you read the book, it's a very good adaptation, from what I'm told.
huh. Well, in my case, I still haven't been to the movies in a while. Although I have done a lot of DVR binge watching for new shows this past week. So for shows right now that I'm kind of watching, the Flash, which came out yesterday. The series premiere was yesterday. It was actually really good. I was kind of worried it might be kind of cheesy, but it was actually really good. Gotham, which is really, really good. And then Scorpions, which if you haven't seen it yet, every episode has gotten better. And so I would highly recommend that show. Arrow, which I'll be watching tonight because it comes on tonight, so I have it set to record. And, of course, this age-old standby, Big Bang Theory.
Oh, yes, The Big Bang Theory. My mom loves that show.
As she should.
Yeah. Well, for picks of the week this week, my pick is the OnePlus One update that came out yesterday. No, yesterday. Yes, yesterday. It's the 38R update, and it fixed a ton of bugs, one of which was a touchscreen bug, where the touchscreen was really insensitive and it was getting points all crossed, and it just went wacky.
So you said it was insensitive. Was it non-PC?
It reminded me of using the Nexus One when it first came out, where you had to power or turn the screen off and back on to reinitialize the digitizer because it was just all screwed up. People that have listened to the show for a long time will remember Steve and I talking about how wonky that was. That's exactly what it reminded me of. So it's fixed that, and they added some lock screen stuff. They added raw mode for the camera and some other cool stuff. So I'm very pleased with it. And I still love the phone. I mean, there's a guy at work that I helped get an invite, and I saw him walking in the parking lot the other day. He pulls out my phone, and he pulls out his phone. And he goes, I was like, okay. He's a former iPhone user, so it's funny to see him carrying around the big thing.
Well, for me, I've been playing around with a lot of the watch faces for the Moto 360. I'm still in the honeymoon phase for it, I guess. And I've always been a big fan of Fallout, and so I happened to come across a watch face. It's called Wearboy 3000, and let's see if we can get it to show.
It's not on other. Okay.
There we go. Back it away a little bit. But essentially, it looks like a Pip-Boy. But what I also like about this one is it shows the date, both the day of the week and the date, the time, and it shows your % battery left. And it's free, which is also the greatest part about it. And it comes with both a square and a round face, so it'll work with any of your Android Wear watches, regardless of what if you have a square or a round one.
Cool. Well, have you had any problems with any of the custom watch faces? I got scared of running them when I first got mine and had all the problems with it, and I haven't been loading anything.
I was going to try to use the one where you can create your own, but I just haven't had time to do it. But, I mean, when you can do basically the Apple Watch, I mean, you can do just about – there's some really cool ones out there. My only pet peeve is some of the better-looking face ones, the apps that do them charge you per face, and so I'd rather pay a little more for the app than have to sit there and shell out for every face I decide I want to try out. Because I mean, some of the faces look nice. I mean, they have some of the apps where they replicate Rolex faces and luxury watch like Tag Heuer and stuff like that. I mean, there's some decent watch faces and everything. Although I tend to default back to the Dials one, which has the 2 time zones.
Yeah, I'm running this one here.
Oh yeah, was it the retrograde? I think.
Yeah, I don't know. I love it because it looks like a regular watch when it's on, and
Oh, rotate. That's the rotate.
Maybe I don't. I just switch it through the Connect app.
Yeah. That's the one thing I like about it too, though, is you just press and hold, and you can switch any preloaded face that you have on it.
Yep. Well, cool. Where can everybody find you when we're not doing our wonderful, lovely podcast?
You can find me on Twitter, handle LSU Law 2009, which I will hopefully I may actually take off just so I can kind of live tweet during the Apple event on the 16th. I'm overdue for a vacation. Everybody keeps telling me I need to take off. You can find me on Google+. Just look for my Patrick Bergadamo, or you can go at plus.technicallylegal.net. Hopefully I'll be updating that site in the next couple of months. And then you can, of course, email me at patrick@thesimulcast.com.
All right. And I should mention, because I didn't before, I finally, I think, fixed our Facebook page, which we haven't. I haven't really done much with it. The link got broken to posting the podcasts and stuff there. So if you have not liked us on Facebook, please go do that, and you should be able to get notifications there when we post the show and stuff like that too. So I'm trying to get a few things cleared up when I have some time. It's just slow going. It's a hobby for us. We don't make any money doing this. It's just for fun. So.
And I would also throw out there, if you're someone who likes to talk tech and everything, if you'd like to come on the show at some point, get in touch with Bill or I, and we can see about working that out.
Yep, definitely. Somebody hit me up on the YouTube page, and Android Fanatic, and said he'd love to come on. So we'll have to do live Q&A again. We get him involved and see how that goes. So if you want to get a hold of me, I am at Bill Stebbins on Twitter, and billstebbins.com for all my other social media information. And that's going to do it for Simulcast 246 for October the 8th. Look for us next week unless things change. Otherwise, hit us up in our social media. Have a good evening.
Later, guys.